Hey, what's up, Coffee Crew? Welcome back to the podcast. Today is episode 32. And today we are continuing our newest series, which is Coffee is Better Together. 2 weeks ago, we had first we had Nick Castellano from Global Origins, and we had our boy Provecho, Gerardo from Provecho. And today we have a special guest, and I'm so stoked because it's like a reunion all over again. It's going to be Yazmen from Gang Inc. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Put some like applause or something like that there. So, welcome to our podcast. We're seriously so stoked just because it's not just about coffee, but we also like to talk about hustle. We like to talk about different areas in life because we're always talking about like small business, entrepreneurship as well. So we were when we were looking for people to have on board on the podcast, we were looking for people that just stood out. And honestly, you are one of those people that stood out. To us, honestly, that's someone that is constantly hustling, constantly grinding, doing things differently. And how are you, first of all?
Well, thank you. Thank you for all of those good things that you had to say about me. I'm good. I'm healthy, so good. I'm thankful for that. And yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. So how old are you? What's your name? What's your background? What's up? Who's Yazmen?
So unfortunately, Aries season is on lockdown right now.
My
birthday.
Full lockdown.
Yeah, full lockdown. My birthday is this Saturday, and can't really do anything about it. I'm turning 25,
well, happy birthday.
In all honesty, thank you.
Wait, what day is that?
The 21st.
21st.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, though, I'm not too worried about it this season, only because I am already prepping for my show, my competition show. So I'm considering just having something extremely small at home with my family.
Okay, good.
Versus going out and doing something, that I probably wouldn't be able to do anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, competition. Okay, that is, and we can get into that later, but that is insane.
I'm also a certified personal trainer. I'm a dispensing optician as well.
Which means?
So I help people with your prescription, help you pick out a pair of glasses, do the measurements, do all of that.
Minnie just got some.
I just got my glass.
I just got mine too. I need mine adjusted.
So that's something that I was doing for, I want to say I started since, I want to say I've probably been in that industry for about 4 years or so, but wow. I am in the process of going full-time for personal training this year.
I'm so excited for that.
And I'm actually really excited about it too, because it's something that I've been passionate about for just so long, and I'm deciding to, just go for it, because
that is good.
If I don't go for it now, I'm just never going to go for it.
I'm seriously so jealous of people that take that big leap, because I'm always kind of trying to, like, when I talk to people or friends that are like photographers or just like kind of like trying to go into the freelance world kind of thing, or like doing their own thing, their own agenda, their own schedule. Like, that's seriously so exciting to me. Like, that you're taking that leap of faith and saying, I'm going full force to like your own little business, your own little like, where it's like where you're your own boss basically. I think that is so dope. So congrats on that.
Thank you very much.
American dream.
I actually did that already when I was younger, and I quit my complete job. I quit my job, and I just like, I'm gonna go full time and do all of this, but I wasn't even certified. I was like doing things too soon that I shouldn't have been doing, and I was like, you know what? I can't do this. Like, what was I thinking? I tried to do it for a while, and, I did learn a lot, but I didn't feel right trying to help people when I wasn't as educated as I should be. So I took a complete step back there and got a 9-to-5 again, and then decided to start Gang, because that was also another reason why I needed to find like a way to fund my dream.
Yeah, of course.
It's always hard too with like, I think a lot of ourselves, like, whenever we want to do something like that, when it's on our own, sometimes it's hard to like reality check yourself, like if I were to right now say like I'm gonna become a pro NBA player, I quit my job, it's like, dude, like, okay, first go practice and like try to do amateur, or college, whatever, but to that, I feel like that's so mature of somebody, like, especially somebody being our age, like, to be like, hey, I know I want to do this, but right now maybe I'm not ready, and I don't know. Maybe I don't feel like as like I could do as good of a job as I wish I could. So I'm just gonna step back, get a really regular job for now, and then be able to hop back in. How hard was that?
It was hard because you have to think about, like, I didn't fully stop training people, so I just changed my schedule around my full-time job. So I had to go full-time work my hours, then go straight to the gym, train my people, and then I would have to train myself, and then I had to go home and do it all over again. And it was just a lot because I was also studying for my certification, and so it was just taking up a lot of time. But through all of that chaos, I was able to do it, and I just knew that if I were to stay consistent with the little things every day, then it would get there. You know,
that's good. If we can just have you go a little closer to the mic, or like when you're talking to the Chris.
You're good. No, you're good. Perfect. If anything, I'll put you up at the end, so you're fine.
Sweet,
okay.
Awesome. I just wanted us to like come out louder.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask too though, where did this all begin? Like where was that turning moment where you're like, I need to? I mean, because I'm assuming before you wanted to teach others, you yourself had to go through a process of like, I need to hit the gym. I need to like, take care of my health, kind of thing. Like what happened? Like what was that turning point for you?
Honestly, it was my mom and like my family, because my mom, she had breast cancer, and my brother ended up getting testicular cancer, and he was in his 20s, and my mom was pretty young too.
Pretty young as well.
And there's a lot of people in my family who have a lot of issues and diseases and things that I was just kind of afraid of, getting myself later on in life, and not being able to help my mom because she was already pre-diabetic. She was like in this situation that I felt helpless because I couldn't help her. Wow. And so that kind of really put me in the sense like, okay, I need to stop messing around and I need to get serious, because if I don't, nobody else is going to be able to help her. Because, we didn't grow up with money. We didn't have any of those things that will benefit us to hire or that will allow us to hire someone and do all of those things. So I kind of just decided, I'm going to do this for my mom, and eventually that's where the certification came from, because I wasn't even trying to get certified. It was more of like people were coming to me and asking me questions, and I'm like, well, like, I don't do this for a living, like, and so I started thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what, like if I just do this, people are asking me anyway, like I can help my mom. And we did. I got her off her medication. She was off of like her cholesterol pills. She wasn't pre-diabetic anymore, and it was actually like, I don't know, when that happened and when I saw her completely change as a person working with me, it just, something in me just sparked, and I was like, I want to do this forever.
That's like, insane.
For everyone, not just for my family.
So it's like it's like a real like passion, because it affected you and your family personally. Level, like it's not like, oh, my friend, I saw him going through these problems or diabetes or something like that, and then like that made me want to be a better person, like get other. It's like, no, my mom dealt with this, and I don't want her to go through this, and now I want to help others. That's pretty crazy, like to have that firsthand experience, because now when you do deal with clients and stuff like that, like you can actually like tell them like, hey, I went through this personally. Like I can tell you firsthand, this was something that happened, and I don't want you to go through that, or I can help you with this. That's pretty crazy. Right now, how is your time kind of being divided between being a personal trainer and then your own, like, regular job right now, and then with Gains Gang?
So there's a lot going on as far as my schedule, because my job, as you guys know, everything that's going on with the whole coronavirus, I recently got a call talking about how they're going to shut down for quite some time. So, when somebody hears that, you freak out automatically.
Yeah, of course.
And so that's something that I tried not to do. And I am just trying to focus on what I can control versus what I can't control. The good thing is, we do have emergency funds. There is unemployment that people can apply to, which we already did. And there's something that we can do in that aspect. But I'm taking advantage of this time right now to really dive into the things that we've been wanting to do with Gains Gang and with my personal training. So right now I'm able to help more people. Right now I'm able to create more content for the apparel and also connect with people more, because we don't have that 9-to-5 kind of holding us back in the meantime. Even though unfortunately, I know a lot of families are hurting right now, I think the best thing that we can do is just try and support each other and
make the best out of it,
because it's this difficult time. It's getting really scary, and it's growing really fast, but I think that there's still a lot of positive happening. And I think we should just focus on that, but
what was your previous job, if you don't mind me asking?
My previous job, I've just been doing I've been an optician for quite some time.
Oh, that's the one. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you said that's where you started. I'm sorry. That's the current one you had.
That's the current one that I have. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then just transitioned to personal training, and now I'm trying to go into that full time.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to try and do this by the summer, but with everything going on, we're just kind of playing it in the air.
Waiting.
Yeah.
Dang. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like I was saying earlier, like same here. You know, with the coffee shop, got the same call. Like, hey, we're pretty much like you're pretty much laid off for now. And like, and the first thing that I thought about was like, it. You know, it sucks not to have a job. Obviously, like not, and you like. I know I can't afford it, and a lot of us can't. And there's some that can, and for those that can work from home, like, you know, got lucky and you're blessed to have that option. But there was a part of me that did get excited because I was like, now I have time to sit down and record some songs. Now I have time to sit down and work on Coffee Crew, like little things that like.
Those are the things that you could control.
So yeah, exactly. Having that mentality of like, this is now like a blessing in disguise in some aspects of my life. And just taking advantage of it, and I'm glad that you have that same mindset, and it just speaks to like why we wanted you on the podcast. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy because like those are not things that we talked about earlier, but it just speaks to that like oh for sure we like that's why we wanted you on the podcast. You know, you have that same mindset, and that was the whole thing on the keep brewing from our previous kind of series that we did is. You know, whatever happens, like, just keep going, and
exactly.
You got to have that mindset of, like, any little trip up, like, just keep going, and have that mindset to just, you know, never stop brewing, never stop hustling, and...
Just never give up.
With discipline, and something that I wanted to ask you is, training others versus training yourself, how does discipline and the difference between those two, how does that... kind of work out in those situations,
specifically because you can't control the other person.
I'm trying to understand your question.
Because you know, like for me, right? Let's say I'm helping somebody how to learn something to play a guitar or something, right? Sometimes it's easy for us that have been in that certain discipline for a while now to say, just do it. It's easy, you know. But we gotta keep ourselves like. In check and say you were there at one point and it wasn't easy at that point.
Okay, got it.
How does you going through that already? You went through having to train yourself, you know, competing, all those things. What are those things that you take to now help somebody else when you're training them?
Well, honestly, I see training like kind of like my children in a way. I'm very patient with my clients because I love training them. And to me, if they're not learning, like I stop immediately and I ask them questions. I try to figure out what they didn't understand. I try to understand and I try to figure out like if they're feeling it, if they're not feeling it, because everybody's different. And so I'm not a closed-minded person where it's like you're not doing it right. It doesn't look right because everybody's body's different. Everybody feels things different. So it's just a matter of really getting to know that person and your clients and understanding where they're currently at in their stages of fitness or life or whatever it can be. Because I work with different kinds of clients. Like a lot of them, some of them are, you know, really overweight. And there's other people who are just trying to gain muscle. And then there's other people who just need guidance and that like accountability type of thing. So everybody's different. But to me, I just have a lot of patience for them because I have a lot of love for them. Like, I just feel really grateful that these people are willing to trust me enough to allow me to help them, because when I see them grow, like, I don't know, like just something about, like the other day I was training one of my people and I see their movements and I'm like, wow, like they improved so much.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I can just would have recorded them like when we first started and like so they can see and like to me it makes me feel like, I don't know, I just don't get like anything. I don't feel that joy from like just anything, you know.
And how doing training for competing and all these things, how does that? Because I know for us that, you know, we all have like certain disciplines that we kind of like have really passionate about, music or whatever it may be. How does that bleed into your personal life with like Gains Gang, and how does that bleed into like just your average, you know, daily tasks throughout the day? Because I know something that we were talking about earlier was discipline.
Right.
I wanted to see if you could talk about a little bit on that.
So competing, something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. And this was like when I was first starting to work out back in like 2014 maybe, or 13. And when it came to competing, I honestly did it because I felt like I needed to prove myself that I can do it. Because it got to a point where Okay, so backstory. When I was younger, I used to be like not the greatest child or the greatest kid. You know, I didn't have a lot of people looking over me all the time until I got like to teenage years. And I knew that I needed somebody to put me in my place because my mom, you know, she was a single mother. She was kind of like a pushover because she just wanted us to be happy. And I think for me, I noticed at an early age that I needed someone to put me in my place. Like, and I don't know how to really explain it, but I kind of craved like structure and like something to just put me in place, because my whole life growing up was kind of chaotic. And so I asked my tia at the time who took me in if she could send me to boot camp. And my mom, and they were like, you're crazy. Like, no. And I'm like, I need to go. Like, I know that if I go, like, I'll come back so much better. And like this and this and that. I'm like, no, you're crazy. Like, we're not going to pay for you to go to boot camp to be treated like blah blah blah. Like, if you want, you know, they made fun of me and they're like, we can do it in the backyard. Like, we could beat your butt. Like,
that's the Mexican mindset right there.
And I was like, and they took it as a joke. And to me, like, I went back to my room and I was crying and I was just kind of upset because I knew something in me, like I knew I needed something, but I couldn't kick my own butt. Like, I just didn't know how. I was, you know, I don't know. And so after, you know, as I grew older, I kind of just felt that same feeling over and over again. And every year I focused on self-development. And so one of those things was, you know, I need to develop myself to be disciplined and do the things that I want to do, because I don't need someone else to show me to do it unless I feel like I do. And that was why I was feeling that, like, oh, I need someone to tell me, I need someone to do this for me. It's like, okay, well, competing was doing it on my own. Like, okay, I'm gonna be the one to tell me to do this. But I didn't go into competing like training myself. I got a coach because I didn't know what I was doing. Personal training is completely different from bodybuilding training. You know, there's a lot of different techniques as far as personal training goes. When it comes to bodybuilding, they're very basic movements, compound movements. And so I just didn't want to go into something not knowing what I was doing. So I hired someone and went from there. And it was really hard. It was like extremely hard to just stay consistent and like be disciplined in that way. And my first show, I got last. Like, it was really bad because I wanted to do it so fast that I didn't take the time to put myself, I guess, like, I hired someone and I was like, oh yeah, you know, I can do this in 16 weeks or in like 8 weeks, and like there's no way I could have done that.
like years.
Can I add a little bit to that?
Yeah.
So I did jiu-jitsu for a little bit, and I was training like twice a day, like more than anybody should in real life terms. This is me having just a full-time job and then just going to jiu-jitsu right after. When I woke up and when I went to sleep, and then I would go to jiu-jitsu. And then I competed, and I feel like I competed a little too early, and I lost my first match. And I remember thinking, like, I was so disappointed in myself. But, like, hearing you talk about it, it's, like, the same thing of, like, I'm so glad that I didn't win my first one, because that would have, like...
got into your head.
Yeah, right. I'm so good. I don't even have to go to class anymore. Like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm so glad that I lost that first match.
Like a humbling moment.
And then I won my second, because my second match, I remember looking down at my feet, and I'm like, okay, you're definitely not as good as you think you are. Like, this was a humbling experience. Like, you better go in there and fight for your life on the second one. And then I won my second one. But I just remember thinking, like, I remember going back to class after the whole competition, and just thinking, like, I'm so glad that I lost that first match, because that really taught me, like, dude, never think that you're the best out there, or never think that you can do it in 16 weeks, or never think that you can, you know, jump the head of the line and still win first place. Like,
right. I was pretty humbled by that competition, because in my mind I was like, oh, I cried off the stage, and I went to my coach and I was like, I knew I should have got like second at least, or like third or whatever. And I was just like, being a really bad sport, I look back and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I was such a bad sport. But it was also like, when I left, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna come back and like, I'm gonna do this. And, you know, I, instead of training for a little bit of time, I ended up, you know, at the time I had lost like a job. I think I had lost my job at the time, and I couldn't afford my coaching at the time. And so I was kind of bummed about it, and I found someone who was basically charging half the price. And I was just like surprised, because this person's super knowledgeable, extremely like passionate about what he does. And, you know, we've been working together for now over a year. And we actually prepped for my show, this last show that I won my pro card on.
Wow.
We prepped for like 10 months. And those were like the hardest 10 months of my life. But it really changed me, like, as a person. It changed me in a good and in a bad way, I feel, because it really took me to like a very vulnerable state of myself, to where I had to really dig deep and figure out who the heck I was. Because when you put yourself in such a position where you're depriving yourself of all of these foods and like just trying to stay strong on everything that you're doing, like, you break down, like completely break down. And around those times is when I really dived into my faith with God and my relationship with him, and a lot of things kind of just changed for me. And when I won my show, I started crying because I still didn't believe it. Like, it literally took me weeks for it to sink in. Like, it didn't even sink in the first day. I was just like in shock. And then I was like, wow, I can't believe, like, I really did this. Like, I can't believe all that suffering, like, really paid off. But the funny thing about it is I felt like everything was super insignificant, which was so weird.
After all that work,
I felt like all of it was so insignificant. Like, I was just like, you know what? Like, what is all this for? Like, people really cheered for me for going up there and like presenting a physique. Like, that's crazy that this is what we do, you know? But then I think about taking it back, because I think for me, it's like, I want the things that I do, I want to do it for a purpose, you know? And competing, you know, it's a very selfish sport, and a lot of people don't talk about that. And it's very selfish because my husband and I didn't get a lot of time together because, you know, I'm constantly focusing on my prep. We don't get to go on dates. We don't get to do what, you know, couples do. I have to go to sleep at a certain time. You know, sometimes we didn't even see each other. I was like, he was going to work, I was coming home, he was already asleep. And so it was really tough on, you know, a lot of things. And so when it comes to competing, people have to understand that it is a selfish sport, but you do gain from it because it shows you that with sacrificing something for the greater good or for the overall picture, you know, it does come back tenfold with anything.
Go ahead.
I have a quick question on that. When I was junior, I completely relate because there's so many like parallels to it. Jiu-jitsu is like it's so crazy in the fact that like you really get taken to like the end. There's a cliff and you get taken to the end and you really find out like what you're made of. Like you really find out like can you really push your limits? Can you really push? Like, are you gonna just let them take you? And I wanted to ask you, training that hard when you were like doing, you know, your 10th rep or your 10th set after like, you know, hours of training, what motivates you to keep pushing?
Honestly, the training part wasn't the hard part for me. I think it was more the mental. Mental was where I struggled the most. And I'm sorry, what was your question again?
Yeah, what helped you keep pushing in your mouth and like in mental? Because it is all mental at the end, because your body can keep going, right?
Yeah.
Especially like, you know, you're tired. Like, let's say I'm tired after 12 rounds of jiu-jitsu. On that 13th round, there was times where like I didn't want to do it, but I know my body could. But it's all in your head, right? Like your head and your mind is like, we're tired. What helped you at that 13th round to keep going, like mentally?
Mentally, I think it was just trying to prove myself right, you know, because I also have this voice inside of me that tells me I can't do it. And I think overcoming that voice is what matters most to me, because I think we all struggle with that voice.
Yeah.
And
self-doubt.
If you allow that to really creep in, you know, it could really take you. It could really take you down. But I think for me, when it came to showing myself like what I'm really about, it came from wrestling in high school. And then from there, competing was like a whole different level of like, okay, what are you really made out of? Because it's not like competing. I think the crazy part is like literally nobody's there, and yet you're still like not cheating, you know, like it doesn't matter who's there, who's not, you know, if you do it, you're going to know, and you're going to feel it, and you're going to feel like shit because you're not doing the things that, you know, you're supposed to be doing to get you to where you need to be. And so I think for me, it was like, you know what? No, I'm going to do this, because if I don't, I'm not even going to believe myself when I say I'm going to do something like next time, you know?
That's something I love about martial arts and like sports and just fitness in general, is that you can't BS anything. like the results are gonna show for themselves.
Yeah.
You can like pretend like you trained all your might out there, but then when you go and compete and you get, you know, third place,
It
like
shows.
that was on you. That nobody else. You lied to yourself, and like that's what I love. Something I love about fitness and sports, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, all these martial arts is that you really can't BS it, and you really have to be your worst critique. Like you can push it harder, you can push harder, you can push harder, and like to feel like just to keep it in my head, like I'm thinking about right now about all those times that you must have been sitting at the table and everybody else is eating hot Cheetos or something like. You know what I mean? Like you've gone for months not eating.
Especially from a Mexican family.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
They would bring pan dulce all the time, pizza, freaking. They made tamales twice.
Oh my God.
They made flour tortillas every day. My mother-in-law makes like the best flour tortillas.
Oh, nice.
And it's just, man.
That was all you.
Yeah,
that was all you. Nobody else can keep you in check. Like you got to be your own. Like. Don't do it because you know.
But something about that made me feel good though. Like being able to be like, you know what? Like I don't need that. Like food's always gonna be there. And I think once you really understand that, and this is just gonna be like a phase to suffer. Like, I mean, I don't want to bring religion into this, but I mean, I'm not going to. But you know, I just don't think suffering for a short period of time is not that bad as
I was gonna say that. I was gonna say my favorite saying that I would tell myself, like when you were saying like be mental and trying to overcome yourself. I would always tell myself, pain is temporary. Pain is temporary and it's gonna go away. But what doesn't go away is that guilt with yourself.
Yep.
That never goes away.
In my wrestling room, there was actually a quote and it said, "Pain is temporary, pride is forever."
Yep. Yeah. Because then you know when you go home and you know you didn't push as hard as you could.
Yep.
You feel it the entire day.
And I beat myself up so much. Like, you have no idea. Like, I'm, like, half the time when I'm mad, it's because I'm mad at myself. And it's not even because I'm mad at anybody else. And as a business owner now, going into a leadership role, it really has made me think about the things that, you know, as a person, when somebody messes something up that you didn't personally want them to do or something, like, I take it all on myself. Because I think about it, like, if I would have set by example, you know, doing this on my own versus always complaining or whatever, that person would have seen that. They would have picked up on it and be like, well, they're also doing it, so this is the right thing to do, or this is how I'm supposed to do it. And I think leading by example is, like, really important in that aspect.
For sure. I kind of wanted to, because when you first said about that you just wanted somebody to kind of, like, set you in place kind of thing, the way that I thought about it, and then you got into it was, like, you kind of just needed to be broken down kind of thing. I feel like that in my time, my life, I've always felt like I need to be broken down, but just in different ways, of course. Like even for example, like with like starting your own business or starting your own thing, where it's like, dude, I'm tired of, or like even budgeting. Like I'm tired of living a certain way. Like you just reach this wall of like, I'm tired of always feeling unhealthy. I'm tired of always being broke or living paycheck to paycheck. Or I'm tired of like being an employee even. You know what I mean? Like I think that's like a place where we should always kind of like, we should always like hit that place and do something about it kind of thing. Which I'm glad that you did, because you're like, just take me anywhere, like take me to boot camp. And that just reminds me of like desperateness. That's where like a lot of things come out. Yeah. And I was just thinking like that was me in a different way, where I was like, I'm tired of like, I need to find a way to have more income, like, or whatever, to different avenues of income. So I was like looking up online websites to like, so I can invest in and kind of like flip them. And that's when I came up with Copy Goods. I kind of stumbled upon that, but it was just that hunger of like, I need something. Like I don't know what it is, right? Like I don't know what it, but I just know that I need to figure out something. So it just kind of like took me back to that as well. Like the brokenness, and like you have to kind of search for brokenness in every area of your life, like the financial, right? Your career, your purpose in life, all these things. So that was really good.
It's honestly, like, I think about it now, because like my whole life I had a chip on my shoulder. Like, and it's because I had so much pride to where I didn't want to let people know that I was vulnerable, or I hated crying in front of people. I wasn't able to tell people that I loved them, my mom, let alone like, or I felt weird when people hugged me. I felt weird, like being touched. Like to me, that stuff was really hard to get used to. But once I did, and once I started self-developing, like I was happy that I was able to overcome all of those things. But like, it was also with a big, huge help from my husband, because when I married my husband, he's completely opposite for me, like completely opposite. It's crazy.
Affectionate.
Like, yeah, he's completely opposite, like affectionate, all that you said, plus more. Everything that he loves, I pretty much hate. Everything I hate
That's awesome.
or love, he pretty much hates, or vice versa. And so, but he taught me a lot. He was never afraid to be vulnerable, and I think that's what really helped me. Like, wow, like if he's able to do this, and he's a man, because I grew up with my brothers who were like mean, like they would bully me all the time, and like they were my brothers, tough love, and like I love my brothers, you know. I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for them either, for all of that stuff. But the point is I think what I'm kind of struggling with right now is because having like this chip on my shoulder this whole life, and actually working towards that chip, and like really trying to break myself down and figuring out why I do the things that I do and why I am the way that I am, it has pretty much brought me to a point where it's like I don't have that chip on my shoulder now, and I have to find something else to kind of like push me through, because I've worked through those factors, and now I'm just trying to find something. Now I feel like I'm just working out of fear, because, you know, I got my pro card, you know, quote unquote, and like once that happened, I felt like, I don't know, I felt scared. I felt like, wow, like I'm here.
You're in the big leagues.
And I have to stay there. And like if I don't, like, I don't know, I won't ever be able to like forgive myself if I just give up.
I was gonna ask more about that, because I know you kind of skimmed through it, but that's a big victory and accomplishment, isn't it? The pro card, like can you explain more about that for people that have no idea about like?
And by the way, I can attest to what you were saying right now, being like tough growing up. I remember I've known Yazmen for since like first grade.
Since like I think it was kindergarten.
First grade. You gotta fact check that.
Crazy, man.
Well, open up the yearbook.
It was too long ago. But anyways, growing up, I remember you being like a tough girl.
I was a bully.
Yeah, you were a tough girl, and like.
But we were always friends.
Like, and honestly, I had enough of you.
I was about to say.
Oh, my bad.
I was happy that I was on your good side, because you wouldn't be mean to me, but I would see how you would be to other people, and I was like, dang, she's freaking like.
So what's up?
I was mean, and I think about it now, and I'm like, honestly, it was because I was being bullied, you know, pretty much, and so I kind of like took it out, and I really regret being that way, but I didn't understand why I was that way until I got older.
But I remember seeing you like. I think it was like way after, like maybe till like senior year, maybe a year after high school, that we were both out, and I remember seeing like this different glow to you. Like you were already like, you were smiling a lot more and everything, and I was like, I wonder what happened with that. Like, but now it all makes sense. But yeah, back to the pro. So can you explain a little bit about that?
Yes. So my league is I'm in a natural bodybuilding league. So it's World WNBF league. And so the way it works there is you have to enter a novice show. Novice is being your first show ever. And then once you compete in there, and I think if you place top 5, you can compete in the open league, which means it's not your first show, and then you're competing against literally anybody in the open show. And if you're in the open show and you have about more than 6 to 7 girls, and you place top 5, then you have a chance to to place. But I won my first and overall in my open class, my second open class.
Oh, wow.
Congrats.
My first competition, I got last, and then my second competition, I took a longer off season and time to prepare, and I got my pro card there. And now I have to compete within a year to basically claim my pro card. So that's what we're prepping for right now.
Wow.
Which will be hopefully in July, but with everything going on, we don't know. We're still prepping for it, like if it's happening.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen, my coach and I will, do what we have to do. But until then, that's what we're planning for.
Wow.
Dang. Now is with the open class, is it like all weights, or is it a certain weight?
So there's a short class and then there's a tall class. And so the short class is one I competed in. And then the first person from the short class and the first person from the tall class, they're the ones who compete for the overall.
Oh,
and so that's when I got my card. And now I'm going up against pros, which is going to be this year. And it's like, it's scary to think about because, after my first show, I was humbled. Even though I won first and overall, I'm working out of fear right now just because I don't feel like I am where I should be. Even though I have made a lot of progress and I feel happy about that. but there's just a lot of growth that needs to happen, and I understand that, but we're doing this to just keep my pro card. And then from there we're going to take a long off season and then really go up there and
hit it
compete.
hard.
Yeah. Oh wow, so you plan on doing keep doing this.
Yeah. I mean, bodybuilding has become a really big part of my life, and I just don't see myself not doing it, because without the structure, like I love that stuff. To me, like I love having a meal plan. I love knowing what I need to do. Like I love taking care of my body and staying on track, because if I don't, like I feel like I'm going insane.
So it's not even like I'm sure it's a big sacrifice, but now it's like you kind of enjoy those things now, of like the structure.
I enjoy the
organize, even
the discipline, because it's not easy, but I feel like every time you put yourself through it, you become better at it. And so then you can use it towards other things in your life.
Can you talk about then where did Gains Gang Inc. come from? Like how did it come to be? Like what?
So Gains Gang is not supposed to be like, I started competing and that's where it started from, but it's more about building a community. I think for me I'm more passionate about building a community of the same like-minded individuals, people who grew up kind of similar to me, who didn't have that person to look up to, or that influence that they've always kind of looked towards.
Right.
And so I think Gains Gang is the beginning of something really big, because my goal towards this is to build other people up and as leaders as well, so that they can be leading by example in their life, and just helping in any way or possible. Because I think not growing up with a lot of support, or with big family, or just that community, I think it's important now that I've got to feel that with my church and feel that with my friends. And bodybuilding has really brought amazing people into my life that I see as family now. They're forever going to be there now, and people who I've grew up with for years are no longer in my life. And for me, that's okay, because it's building, the whole point of it is, like I said, is just to build a community, people who are going to persevere through the struggle and kind of show others that it could be done.
Oh, it's a good point. I like that you brought that up about people you consider family now. I feel like when you suffer together with other people, that really builds a camaraderie and really builds a family. When you suffer together and have to go through the same going through the same mountains and the same hills, man, that really builds it together. For Gains Gang, right now, what is your focus that you're kind of working on right now?
Well, we've actually been working on a launch for quite some months now, and there's a lot of things that happened last year that I learned from, and I had to take into account. And after my competition, I kind of, like I said, it kind of changed me a little bit. And so I was really trying to get back into reality. And when I say getting back into reality, it's your whole reality shifts when you're in competition and you're in that deep. And I knew at that moment that I lacked leadership, proper leadership, because I couldn't get myself out of it, and I couldn't make it not about me and make it more about the team. And so I took a step back and really had to figure out how I was going to do this as far as leading the team, because without a team, I don't have anything. And I owe a lot to everyone who has supported us thus far, because even though we don't have the capital that everybody obviously wants at the very beginning, I know we have something strong, and I know that we have this, I know we have something great happening, and I'm really excited about it. And we have been working on this launch for quite some months now, and everything was already ready. But then this whole
the
coronavirus
COVID-19
situation, we just kind of took a step back and decided not to bring out what we've been planning for, which is kind of a stressor for us, because we put a lot into this, and a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of thought. And first, primarily was a lot of thought, but we're just taking it little by little, and we are still going to be creating content and just kind of hold it and build up from it and go from there. But I think
it's
this
hard,
year
right?
is going to be, it's pretty hard. It's hard. It's not easy. It's not what
especially when it's your own it's your decision. Like, there's not a boss or a CEO that's like, hey, do it or don't do it, or I have these 10 plus years of experience, then this is what's gonna happen. Like, you just gotta go with your gut.
Right? It's a lot of pressure that I didn't think would be there. So it takes a lot. It takes a lot.
From the moment that you started Gains Gang to where you're now, if there is anything, what would you do a little differently?
I would be cautious about who I bring to the team. I would get to know people. I would get to know people a little bit more on a deeper level. I would have not allowed so many people in the way where they affected my decision, because I felt like I needed to bring too many people in and ask their opinion and things like that. Voices. And it's just too many voices, and I just couldn't focus, and I couldn't be the person that I originally wanted to be at the beginning. And so now I'm just trying to, build up again pretty much, because I know that we could be better, and that's where we're working on right now.
Nice.
That's good. Then is there anything like with the branding as far as that goes, like who does, like, who's the one behind? Is it just you and your husband that does everything?
So my husband is the COO. He's pretty much the one that takes care of everything, like emails,
what's your husband's name?
Website. His name is Anthony Nuno.
Shout out Anthony.
Gotta shout out my boy Anthony.
Good, heck yeah.
He pretty much deals with all of the, computer, website, all of those things.
Heck yeah.
I'm the one who does, like, pretty much the shipping all on my own. I do make sure that every order goes out, to my, what would you call it?
You're liking the way you ship it?
Standards or what?
Yeah, to my standards.
Yeah.
There we go.
To your vision.
Yeah.
To your vision. How you want it to look.
Like, I want to make sure that everything's perfect type of thing. So I'm doing pretty much all of that, like that part. But I have a friend his name is Ali, and he owns his own apparel, his Lift Squad.
Shout out to Ali and Lift Squad.
Shout out to my homie Ali. He's the one who actually helped me get started. He and I connected over Instagram, and it was kind of like a God sent thing, because I had recently broken down, and I was like, I really want to do this, and I don't know how to do this, and I really believe in this, and I don't know how to start, and I need help. I know I need help, and I wanted to hire a business coach, and I didn't even have the money, but I was willing to figure it out. And next thing you know, he messages me, and he's like, hey, would you be willing to model for my show, for my apparel? And I was like, sure, I'll be willing to help you. But I never been the type to say yeah right away to people. I never really liked to meet people on Instagram. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll help you out. So I helped him out. We shot till 1 a.m, just for his apparel. And after that, he was like, hey man, if you need help with anything, I'm here for you, because you really helped me out when nobody else was able to.
You're like, wow.
And I didn't, and then I was like, I didn't really understand the level of when he meant I'm willing to help you, until now, because he's one of my best friends, and he's still there helping us. If I have a question, always there to help us out. He's always the type of person to just kind of bring people up around him.
Yeah, I kind of want to touch on that.
And he does the photography, and then we have a new person coming on board for videography. But
just for your content.
Yeah.
This is really
so
good.
this is where this year is where we're gonna start growing, because it's been a while since we produced any content. Just because a lot of things that
changing and
just a lot
tweaking.
of things, yeah.
That's something, right? You don't realize in the beginning that things take so long.
Oh yeah, honestly, that's one thing that we learned real quick, and doing things last minute, it can backfire really bad.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to touch on the that subject right there, because that's so important. This competitive mentalness, this competitive mentality. Sorry, thank you. Jesus Christ.
Too much coffee.
It's just this mentality of competition, right? Where I'm not gonna tell you my secrets, or I'm not gonna tell you my tools, or give you some of my tools, my resources, whatever, just because it's they're trying to keep it all to themselves. But I think people like that are for us to be kind of like that, open of hey, if you need help with certain things, this is I can help you with certain tools or resources that I use, blah blah blah.
Right.
Especially I know that, and even coffee business sometimes they won't. And it's not everywhere, but I'm saying, I'm sure it happens everywhere, but sometimes with coffee shops, I'm not gonna give you my contact of who does my dry goods, whatever you want to call it, right?
Photography or whatever.
Yeah, all that stuff, marketing and branding. I just feel people like that, like Ali, you said Ali that are like so like humble and generous, and even just like so confident in his work that he's like it shouldn't be competition. It should be just like cooperative and helping each other out and
help build
building
the community.
each other.
There's enough to go around.
And he's always going to be a part of my family too, as part of his Gains Gang, even though he has his own company, because he helps out a lot too. And without his help and without everybody else on the team, we wouldn't be where we are right now, where we stand. And so I love my people, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I am.
It's good. What did make you want to start your own thing, or even like, cause maybe for you or for us it might even come natural already to just like do your own thing, but like, so a lot of people is like how'd you get over that hump of like that fear of like, you know what, it is a possibility for me to just do my own thing full time, or it is, cause that's scary, like to quit, to like not rely on a 9-to-5 job and just rely on clients and people and your own business,
I think like it's just a matter of, for me it was just like, you know what, if I don't do it, I'm never gonna know, and so like background story, my father was in the picture, and but when he was in the picture, he didn't do a lot of great things to earn his money, and so growing up I was kind of constantly around that stuff, drug dealing and all that stuff, hustle mentality. And so, growing up with that hustle mentality, as I got older, I was like, you know what, bro, like, I don't have to do this. Like, I know that is all I know, but there's so many opportunities out there. Like, there's so many other things that we can do. And if I can make it for my family without having to hustle, like, that'll open up their eyes, I feel. Or hopefully it does. Or, like, I just want to kind of, like, prove to myself that I could do it the right way. Clean money, not, dirty money, or just, like, accepting kind of where I came from.
Do you ever apply some of those tools? I mean, how would you say it? Like, do you ever apply, honestly, because like street smarts and hustling and all that stuff, like you could apply some of those like mentality or certain ways of doing things to like honest money, you know what I mean?
Honestly, that's like the hood's always going to be a part of me. And low key, I'm still hood. No, I'm just like,
you can't get the hood out of me.
You can't get the hood out of me. No, but in all honesty.
I love that, dude. No, because like we were born, or not born, but we were like we grew up in Market area, like I think
that's where I grew up too, Market Street.
Logan,
because I think you would go this way, you would keep going straight or something like that. Like
all these gangbangers around there, dude. Like, it's so
Market,
funny.
44th and 40th.
Exactly. And that's another reason why, like, I don't know, gains came from me because I love working out, and I've always been about, gaining muscle. And then gain kind of went with, like, I feel like I didn't want it to be gain because I was like, oh, people are going to look at it wrong. Like, that doesn't sound right. People are going to judge us right off the back. And at first I was kind of embarrassed of our name because of it, because I am around a lot of people who aren't from the hood. So when I tell them my name, I kind of feel self-conscious because I feel like maybe they're not going to understand. But, I had to I come to understanding with myself, like, you know what, they may not understand, but this is, something bigger for people who will understand. Yeah. And so that's kind of, Gains Gang. Not only do I feel like it kind of flows, but, we could be a gang for good. It doesn't have to be like what everybody knows.
The negative annotation.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you think about gangs, like,
just people who associate themselves together.
Yeah, but even like if you just like get the good stuff like from the gang stuff, it's like family. Right. It's like people that are willing to die for loyalty. Like that's like feeding each other. Like if somebody's hungry, you're gonna go out and help them out. Like there's a lot of good.
Well, I mean, it's
controversial. No, I'm saying there's a lot of good, like
all of that.
It's funny because
attributes.
It's funny because we're kind of in the same, like, it's a crew, like we call it coffee crew. Yeah. It's the same exact thing. Gang, crew, squad, group, squad. I kept doing the hands. I started hurting the market and went back to that. I like that. No, I like that you're talking about. I could show my family that I could do this and make an honest living, and I feel like it's even better. Like it's not even not only just an honest living. Like you're helping people. You're literally helping people, empowering them, helping them be a better version.
And the goal is to also like grow other people who can help me do the same. That's pretty much the goal. Just kind of being an influence that you just never had and doing it together. Yeah. And even if you did, because my husband actually came from a really good family. he's complete opposite from me. Again, like I said, literally, he's the only boy out of 5 sisters. I'm the only girl out of 3 brothers.
Wow.
He has like a mom and like his parents have been married for years. Might have a broken home. Like completely opposite in every way. But it has also helped me kind of understand like his side of the things too, because like I feel like he couldn't understand me for a long period of time, and he really tried to, but kind of falling into his family has helped me understand love, has helped me understand what family truly is. It has helped me understand how being vulnerable is not weakness, and it really truly shows like love and like realness, you know. And if it wasn't for him, I honestly don't think I would be who I am today, because I do owe a lot to his perspective of things and like his family and things like that.
That's good.
I like that you brought that up, because I think it's always easy for us that you know, if you're living in the hood and like, you know, remember me and Lalo, like just and some of the stuff that like we played around with, like skateboards and all these things, like it was like literally like a bunch of the stuff that we did was out of having no money and like stuff like that. But I think like once I started meeting people that did, or grew up, you know, with this perfect life or whatever, like you start realizing like, oh, we all go through crap. And like, even if somebody has both their parents and grew up with money, like they're going through problems too.
Absolutely.
And they have their own thing that they have to fight through. And I think like meeting other, I think that's why I love San Diego so much, that you get to, you know, meet all these people from different walks of life. And they all grew up in San Diego.
Yeah.
And like we all grew up in San Diego, but we all had like these crazy different lives. And like it really makes you think like, or makes you realize that not only like don't they have like maybe all the money, but they also went through some, you know, stuff. And with Anthony, I'm sure like it was really eye-opening to see like some of the stuff that maybe he was going through. And you're like,
because like their family, like they seem like a perfect family when I first met them. And then, you know, as I became a family, I'm like, oh, they're actually like a family. Like they fight, they do, you know, like they're normal. But the crazy thing about like for me was they talked about their feelings. Like they'll sit in a room and they'll talk, and I think that was amazing, because I'm like, wow, like imagine if parents did this with their kids. You know, I feel like we would grow up less depressed and less antisocial and less like not understanding of our emotions, because we're growing up to be told to shut up when we're crying. And in reality, it's like, how can you tell a child to shut up when they're feeling without, like, it's not even just that, but it's like your feelings, you can't stop a feeling.
They're expressing themselves.
They're expressing themselves. So if you tell them to shut up or quiet them, they're going to feel like being expressing themselves is not right. It's not the right, you know. And so you grow up thinking that you can't be vulnerable, that you're not allowed to cry, that you're not supposed to tell people that you're supposed to, you know.
The whole macho man mentality.
Things like that. But being with Anthony's family, like, they've taught me what it is to fight, you know, because you're family, regardless of the situations that are going on, the problems, anything like that. And one thing that I also learned from their side of the thing is that, shoot, I forgot what I was going to say about that.
No, that was good.
But
that reminds me of my marriage counseling.
Oh my gosh!
We're doing pre-marriage counseling. We're doing pre-marriage marriage counseling.
Something wrong with that? Hey, something wrong with that.
It's really good because it touches on a lot of those points that you've already mentioned. So we can kind of already go prepared into it. Whereas like her family culture is way different than my family culture, but it doesn't mean we have to do it her way or my way. It's like we can create our own culture of like the mix or two if we wanted, if we wanted to. But it's like the way that she grew up or the way that her chemistry was with their family was different than mine. And like, so it's kind of cool where it's like I don't have to come in and expecting a certain way or her the same way. So it just kind of reminded me of that. It's really good that you kind of got to see like the way his family was and like their chemistry, and it's like
I also like
different.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I'm done.
I think that I remember what I was going to say about his family was that even though they, you know, he grew up with money and never missing anything on the table, it doesn't mean that his parents didn't like really work for it, because they own their own business. And so they own their own business, and they have an appliance repair company, 911 Appliance, shout out.
Appliance repair. Oh wow.
And so
I might give him a call, bro.
No, bro. And his dad is like super knowledgeable. He's like completely he's Mexican, like the most Mexican guy that I know.
Fix anything, do anything.
But he's so smart. Like he's so resourceful, is insane. And so when I think about it, it's like, wow, like he inspires me. Like he's my father now. Like he's the only father in my life that I see as a dad. And he's a great one because, you know, no matter what, I always see him like trying to learn computers. He's literally fixing his own computers, making his own computers for his appliances, learning how to do it. He created his own system for it. Like he's like, there's no other option. And so I think with Anthony growing up with somebody who was so like that, he kind of was able to chill back and like lay back a little bit.
Oh, I see.
And I come from a family where it's like I couldn't lay back, and
you gotta figure out a way somehow.
we had to figure out like how we were gonna live our lives together, because I was always on the go, and he was always on the chill.
Yeah.
And so to me now it's like, I think like I've helped him grow as well, being who I am, because to him, he's told me before, it's like, I see all the things that you do and like where you come from and how you do it, and it makes me feel like, well, what can I be doing too? And he's been doing a lot, and I'm really proud of him. And I think showing this part of me to him has inspired him to also create his own thing, so that he can make his father proud too. I feel at least I hope that's like what we can both do, not just him, like both of us, just make his parents proud that they fought for what they did for the right reasons. Same thing with my mom, like growing up with my mom as a single parent, and she had to work so much, and I never saw her, and I see her now, and all I want to do is just hug her and take care of her, man. So that's the goal too.
Good.
And how did your family like respond when you started your own thing, like your own brand, your own company?
Honestly, I don't think they really understood that I was starting until like I did it. My brother, I came to him for advice on design, and we never came to terms with something. So then after that, I kept trying to find something. Like it took us a while to find out like the logo and things like that. And so my brother had something to do with that. He was helping me out. But then when I finally did do it, like they were very supportive, actually. Surprisingly, I mean, not surprisingly, I didn't have doubt that they wouldn't support me. But because we're not as close, I just wasn't sure how I was going to go about it, So when I went to my show, they all showed up in my clothes, in my brand. So
that's awesome.
Everybody was like, "Gaines, gang," and it just felt so amazing, because that's always been a dream, to like have somebody not only rep my brand, but like be there and support. Because like I said, growing up, I didn't really have support, so just that meant a lot to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a good one that you bring up. I remember when we saw the first shirts that we printed, just seeing them printed, like that's something that we worked on. Right? Something that we freaking like, just like shed
just sit there and
blood,
watch it
tears,
for a little bit.
Just looking at it, like really put things like lets you put like go back into perspective of like, man, this is all worth it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like those long nights, fighting with each other about certain ideas, and I'm sure you do fight with each other about certain ideas.
We do not agree on a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like every time I love like a design, he's like, and so like we have to really work together. But honestly, we make a great team, and I think at the end when we make a decision, it's a right one.
Good.
We have made a mistake, but it wasn't a decision that was made between us two. It was around the time where we kind of included everyone, and it kind of backfired. But other than that, like I think we work well together, because he shows me a perspective that I never would have thought of, and I'm like, you know what, you're right. Like you're right. Let's not do that, because I didn't think of it that way. Yeah.
That's just good to have the team, especially like somebody as close as obviously you can't get closer than your husband, but like it's always good to have, because something we always talk about this, like having each other in check, and like really like making sure like, hey, did you do this, or have you taken care of this? And
it could be annoying, but if you really think about it, like you need that. You need somebody to be honest with you and tell you like what to do or how to do it, or at least keep each other on check.
Yeah, because there's times where like it's because like that's what like one of my biggest, I say like so many times, but like one of my biggest fears is to start something and never finish it.
Oh my goodness,
and
yes.
Especially nowadays, at least in the coffee world, like a lot of baristas, coffee is like it's their life, it's our life. Baristas.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I mean, like,
they're passionate people about.
But I'm saying
coffee.
Is a lot of times you see in the coffee world, people opening businesses and things, brands left and right, and I'm always stoked for them, or stoked for us too. But I'm saying like there comes a moment where everyone hits, and you kind of hit it on a podcast, where it's like a make or break kind of thing, where they don't see results, or they get results, and then you hit that little hump where it's like are you really gonna keep going forward with your thing, or are you gonna just kind of quit? Kind of like in working out, right? You start off 2 weeks and then you just quit.
You know why though? I think that has a lot to do with the fact that people making decisions off of emotion. And I think that's the wrong way to make decisions, because when you make decisions off of emotion, you're not really thinking like.
There has to be a bigger why.
Exactly. There has to be a true purpose to it. Something that's bigger than emotion. Something that no matter how you're feeling, you're going to feel it in your heart to be like, you know what? No, I don't care. I need to do this.
Yeah, and that's what I was going back to the brokenness part, because when you kind of are broken, you have a foundation to kind of build on your whole like
right.
your why, right? Because it's like this is my big why. It kind of goes back to my family, right? It's like my family, my mother was going through this, blah blah blah. So then you kind of like build upon that, because there's nothing that's gonna shake that. That's like your big why in a way, right? So I think that was like you're totally right. It's all based off emotion and just the moment right there, and I think that's why I think we're very passionate about like what we have going on, because we're a bunch of people that are like, first of all, like passionate people as like naturally, and like just perfectionist kind of thing. And so kind of going back to the whole team thing is like one of our biggest what's the word?
Issues,
because like the word so perfectionist that we won't get anything done sometimes. So I'm sure you guys go
through
through
Anthony
that.
too. Yeah, I didn't realize how much of a perfectionist he was, because he always makes fun of me like, "Oh, you're such a perfectionist," and I'm like, "Leave me alone." Like I never knew that about me until we got married. And then when we started Gaines Gang, I'm like, you know what? You're the perfectionist. Like, you're over here, literally, like because he creates a website and he does like literally he does like code. Yeah. He does like MySpace code. Like he does code.
Coding.
He
codes. Yeah. And so he's like sitting there figuring it all out. And then if he sees something that's literally like a millimeter off, he'll like notice. He'll be like, no, I gotta fix this. Wow. And I'm just like, dude, it's really not that big of a deal. And he's like, yeah, it is. And I'm like, all right, fine. Yeah. I'm just gonna let him be.
That's good.
But I love that. Because it makes me know. I'm like, this is the type of people that I want a part of me. Yeah. Because if they're not gonna do it,
can't settle.
You know, like you need people a part of your team who are gonna be just as excited as you. And I'm starting to see, you know, little by little, you know, who has been there and who isn't there, and kind of like their patterns and how everything goes. And when I think about that stuff too, I also think about my actions and why it is that people have acted in that sort or whatever. But there's just a matter of so much teamwork going on and so much detail that has to go into everything. And I think that's nothing wrong with being a perfectionist, but sometimes it could be crippling because you will be paralyzed to the point where like you can't make a decision. Yeah. You know, and that I think that's an issue for a lot of people.
It's also too very important when you pick your team, because there's things you can't teach. Like, you know, sometimes you just can't, you know, you can't teach somebody to be a perfectionist and to look over every single detail, or like, you know, like, and it's hard because sometimes it's really hard to put things in other people's hands because they will never care about as much as you do, right?
But this is why leading by example is important, and why you have to do it and show them without telling them what to do. Because if you show them first, like they'll kind of you'll start micromanaging them, and that's never. I feel like that always backfires no matter what, because once you stop micromanaging, they stop doing the things that you were telling them to do, because they're expecting you to continue to micromanage. But if you put, like, let's say for example, one thing, because I'm reading this book actually, and it pretty much talks to you about different type of leadership. And one of the things is when you talk about like in a crew, in a family, or whatever it is that you guys are trying to build, you want to give somebody like a small task. And then if they can complete that small task, then you slowly start giving them, you know, bigger tasks and stuff like that. And so that's when you can see. And then let's say, for example, you give them a task and they didn't complete it properly. Instead of coming at them like, hey, man, you did this wrong. Just be like, you can go up to them and be like, hey, so what could I have given you like as an instruction to have brought this to what I'm looking for, or kind of bring it around
a different path,
like, you know, because if you really think about it, it was really your fault. Like you didn't explain it properly, or there's something in your leadership that didn't come across to that person, because everybody's different, everybody's going to understand different, so you can't lead the same either. And so I think that's super important to really understand,
with your
realize.
team.
What's that? There's this quote that is your team is only as strong as the leader's weakness, or something like that. I just made it up on the spot.
I think
I heard something like that.
It's a little bit different, but
or it's like you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Yeah,
that's what it is, right? Like you're only as strong, like, because it doesn't matter how hard you go if your guy back there is like that.
It's your fault though. Like I no matter what, it's always going to be my fault, and I'm always going to see it that way. And when I changed that around, because last year I felt like I feel like I blamed not a lot on myself, and I was wrong to do so. And a lot of it had to do, it was my fault. Like I'm the one who made those decisions that then led to those decisions. Whether I wasn't the one who made the later decisions, it doesn't matter. I initiated everything. Yeah. And so it's just, you really have to think about, you know, who you bring onto your team and how you go about, you know, teaching them and leading them. And you really have to think about it. You can't like at one point I felt like, you know, they're family, so I can just lay back and be myself. But I mean, even though in some aspects you could be yourself, you also got to think about like, well, will being this laid back help like have them think of me differently and not see me as that leadership, like, you know what I mean, like, it comes it's super weird how that comes into play, but I feel like there's a right and wrong time for that, and I learned that too. And so
it's like being open and having conversations, like a checkup moment. It's like, hey, how's everybody doing? Is anybody frustrated in any areas? Because there was a time where I was getting really frustrated, to be quite honest, and then I was like, man, I feel like I'm sucking out the fun out of what we started to be something fun and successful, whatever. And by me being so like this, like, you're kind of killing it for everybody. So I kind of had to have a checkup moment, and be like, okay, Lala, like, pick your battles, like, sit down and talk with your team, like, okay, like, where do we need to get better at? Is our communication off? So I feel like having those kind of, how, like you say, your husband has this moments where they sit down and talk about their feelings and talk about how's everybody in the team feeling, what can we improve on. I think those are so crucial for like teams.
I think that's where I kind of messed up though, because like I said, I wanted to start something that I never had. So I think that's where I kind of should have taken some time to really develop those things that I never had prior to starting it, because I wasn't able to get the team together and talk to them about those things. For some reason, I felt like
just pushing it to the back kind of thing.
I kept pushing it back because I didn't know how. I felt like anxious. I felt nervous. I felt like I wasn't, like, I've never done this before. So how do I do it? Like, it was a matter of like, I don't know. And I pushed it too back to the point where, it felt weird to even talk to them at one point, because I was like, dude, like, I'm trying to figure out my own self, and yet I couldn't even, do this. But
that's crazy.
It sucks when you don't, and you take too long. Like, you want to apologize, and you should have done it the next day after. Yeah. But then you wait too long, and now it's kind of weird, like, to bring it up.
And you got that stomach feeling, like, oh.
But even though, like, all of those things happen, though, like, I am grateful to see it now and grow from it, because those are the things that we did learn and
learning
that I had to really. Because it was a hard swallow to It was a hard pill to swallow.
Hard swallow to
that I wasn't able to provide the things that I wanted to for the crew, because I wasn't used to someone coming up to me and asking me how I was doing, or I wasn't used to someone coming up to me and giving me that support. So to kind of replicate that, it was really hard for me, and it still is. But I'm gonna make that better.
Good, cool.
I have a last question.
Go ahead.
You have any question? Last question. For somebody that wants to start their own thing like that, and kind of like, in the apparel side of things, or you may be in the fitness world, what is some good advice that you can send them off with?
Fitness world.
Send us off too.
Maybe. How about let's do a two-part question, because one is for the apparel business, and then the other one is for the somebody's trying to get fit.
Or how about not even fit, just like somebody that wants to get healthy.
Healthy.
That are struggling, like me, help me.
I'm like,
what about somebody that's
bring out the
I'm
notebook
asking a
really
personal
fast.
question right now.
Okay, honestly, as far as fitness goes, you have to do it for the right reasons. You can't do it. You got to ask yourself why I want to do this. Okay. You can't be like, oh, I want to do this because I want to look good. Eventually, yes, that's where everybody starts. And yes, that's, if that drives you enough to start, then great, but eventually you'll end up having to dig deeper. And that's why I say that. So you really have to think about why it is that you're doing it. And if you really take it serious to the point where it's like, this is my body and I love myself enough to take care of myself, and that works for you, then do that. That's good, because it has to have a bigger purpose. And you can't think of it as, oh, well, people will like me better, or like I can get more followers, or like blah blah blah. Like, no matter what it could be, like, it shouldn't be something like that, and so, and if you're gonna do it, and if you're gonna do it, and if you're serious about it and you don't know where to start, hire someone that knows what they're doing, and make sure you do your research before you just hire anyone. Also, before hiring someone, though, I would highly recommend just doing your research first, trying to learn it all on your own, trying to figure out, even asking people that about it questions. I'm always here to help you guys if you guys ever have any questions. Yeah. Even, some of the listeners out there, if you guys have any questions about fitness, you guys can always contact me. But I think it's really important that you do your research first prior to anything, and get the basics down. Focus on the basics. Focus on getting your gallon of water down. Literally, that is so important. It's the hardest thing to do at first, but if you can get that down, you have no idea how much of a little change can can be with drinking just water.
Wow.
Also, making sure that you're constantly eating at least protein every 3 to 4 hours to keep your body in an anabolic state. When you take longer than that time, you put your body in a catabolic state. So a lot of people feel like eating less will help you lose weight. In reality, yes, it could, because you're eating less calories. But if you're not moving or wasting those calories, it's gonna not. It's basically just
doesn't your body store it because it thinks like it kind of goes like not in starvation mode.
It does,
but
right?
Like,
because your body doesn't care about gaining muscle, it doesn't care about losing weight, any of that. All it cares about is surviving.
Yeah.
So if you don't give it like the food that it needs, what it does is starts storing your
holding on to it,
into fat versus using it, and so it doesn't know when you're gonna feed it. So that's how you start gaining weight. So it's just a matter of, like I said, get the basics down.
I'm
Make sure
hungry.
you're
Drinking
water.
She said, do a jumpy jack, my friend, and then you can start.
just get the basics done, like I said. And if you don't know about training, start with cardio. Go do just walking. You don't have to do anything crazy. When I see people start running for the first time, it's like, dude, you don't have to run. You could just walk at an incline.
Wow.
A fast pace. Do it for like 30 to 40 minutes every day, and once you feel more comfortable, you can start with other things.
Nice.
I like that.
That's good.
Something I can
good
do.
advice.
It sounds like you just sold me.
Oh my goodness. And
You're
also,
hired.
before you invest into supplements, make sure that you understand what nutrition can actually do for you first, because supplements are there to really just supplement what you don't
lack.
Like what you lack. Like for example, multivitamins, you're never going to eat food that has all the nutrients that you absolutely need, all your micronutrients. So I always recommend a multivitamin pack or something like that.
Gummy
with your
bears?
food.
Wow, like little
Definitely
Flintstones.
not gummy
A
bears.
Flintstone?
She bought me like a little gummy worm.
Wait, I did it because I wanted you to have a good immune
You
system.
got coronavirus.
And that's what was left.
I don't.
I
like
read
the gummy
them
bears.
actually. I read them. I was like, there's a lot of bad stuff inside.
The first ingredient. So one thing I gotta tell you guys is when you're looking at food and you're looking at the ingredients, the first thing on there is gonna be what it has the most of.
That's
and so
what
when
I
you
was
look at the
looking
gummies,
at.
it says sugar first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to kill me.
No, I saw it today.
No wonder
I was looking,
Cameron's
I was
waiting.
like, wait, I thought these were supposed to be healthy.
Yeah.
But no.
Gave me the ugly.
But yes, definitely just try to understand food first and then include supplements. Like for example, if you are struggling with getting one meal in because of your schedule or something, then you might want to implement, a protein shake, because you cannot physically make yourself that food. Or you're running late and you forgot your food, so I need some protein right now, or little things like that.
I like that. Like control your environment first. Like what can you do right now?
Exactly, because a lot of
That's
times
good.
if you try to bring in all of these other things without understanding what you already have and what you could do with what you have, it just you get lost, and then you just don't.
Get overwhelmed.
Interesting.
You get overwhelmed,
Yeah.
yeah, and
That's good.
you just don't. I don't see success when people do that.
Wow.
Interesting. And now on the apparel side,
Oh.
when
Business or
Honestly, I still have a lot to grow when it comes to that, because I am, we're not huge or anything, but if you are going to start something like an apparel, I would recommend making sure that you're in it for the long haul. And making sure that the purpose for it isn't just to get money, because that's not the
Good.
business for
Yeah.
that.
You're not gonna be a millionaire
No,
doing this.
That's
bro.
not the business for it. I mean, potentially you could be eventually, like if you're Randall Pitch, maybe he's actually somebody that is making it very well in the apparel industry, but he also has multiple apparel companies. It's not just one.
Yeah.
who is this?
Randall Pitch. You don't know who he is?
I probably
It's
should
Randall
know.
Piz, bro. Come on.
But anyways, I mean, that's all I can pretty much say. And if you're gonna do it, don't think you can do it alone. You need a team. You need a team. There's no way that you're gonna do it all on your own for a long period of time if you want it to be sustainable and actually succeed in one
Have
way
that
or another.
growth.
Have
Yeah.
that growth, exactly.
That's good.
That's good.
I
Man,
love it.
This is a good
It's been
podcast.
amazing. Yeah, I wish we could go. I'm sure we can go on forever and ever, just because you have so much like knowledge and
Passion.
passion.
Your passion.
That is one thing. Yeah, that you're just really passionate. You can just tell that you're passionate in every area of your life. That like whatever you throw yourself at, like you are passionate and you commit to it. So, like I seriously like learned so much And not just that, but you're making me want to like get to work right now because I feel like I need to catch up.
You're telling me. I'm already thinking. I was just like thinking about getting into because me and my husband are working on the next launch because we already have one launch going, but we've been working on the next one already.
Staying ahead.
Staying ahead. And I'm really excited about this next one too. And so now talking about all this is making me want to go back and just like start.
Drawing board.
Yeah.
So what is what is your social medias for everything y'all going on? Where can they ask questions? Where can they hit you for like working out, stuff like that, like a fitness coach?
If you have any questions about training or nutrition, you can contact me via IG at Yazmen Nuno, YAZMEN NUNO. I'm sure you guys are going to tag me.
Yep. Gotcha.
And if you are looking to help support Gains Gang and be a part of our community and our movement, then you can go ahead and follow us at Gains Gang Inc. on Instagram as well. We also have a Facebook page. And that's pretty much all the stuff that I use.
Nice.
Heck yeah. Anything else? So we should expect to drop.
So I want to say hopefully like mid-April to see if everything slows down, but it just kind of matters. Just if you stay tuned on the Instagram, you'll see.
That's
the best way.
Perfect.
Heck yeah. Anything else?
Thank you guys.
Today has been Coffee is Better with Yazmen from Gangs Gang Inc.
Gangs Gang.
Yeah. So
Thank
again,
you guys
guys,
for having me.
Yeah, it's been amazing, and this is like just another big reason of coffee just brings people together, and I just feel like through Coffee Crew we got to kind of like reunite with you or George.
By the way, that was funny story. I saw you at the gym.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
You saw this guy at the gym?
He saw me at the gym.
Hey.
I haven't seen him since, but
You only see him one time.
It's because the coronavirus and.
Oh my goodness.
You saw him at the gym. That's hilarious. That's good. No, but yeah, I just love how like over a cup of coffee we can just talk and literally like inspire each other and feed off of each other and to continue to oh my bad, to go at it, just because it's such a hard thing to do, like the consistency part, and to find people that are like-minded, that push each other to grow and feed off each other kind of thing. So I'm really thankful for you taking the time out of your night and coming and your what is it called?
What?
And your quarantine.
My quarantine time?
to coming over here with us, and so thank you so much, Jersey. We really appreciate you coming down and hanging out with us and having coffee. So let's do it again sometime.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. There you go. Hey,
new thumbnail.
George missed it. There you go. All right,
guys. You gotta do pinkies up. Pinkies up, guys.
Pinkies up, y'all. So this has been Coffee is Better together with Gangs Gang Inc. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, make sure to follow Yazmen and Gangs Gang Inc. They're at their Instagram handle and website. All that stuff will be in the description on Spotify, Apple, whatever you guys listen to, and YouTube as well. So make sure you guys are checking them out. Go check out their store as well. All that good stuff. So guys, we love y'all. Stay safe out there. Be careful. Take it easy and try to stay isolated as much as possible, guys. So
drink coffee
and gallon of water.
Actually, you guys should be drinking warm water right now.
I heard about that it's
tea, lots of tea, guys.
So the virus doesn't move forward,
exactly.
and live longer.
I mean, it could be wrong, it could be right, but at this point, it doesn't hurt to do it anyway.
Well, Yazmen, quick question. Sorry. Do you drink a lot of coffee for like when you do fitness stuff?
I drink coffee for pre-workout because it's something that gets me going.
That's something a lot of people don't know, and I would tell them, and they're like, "Are you serious? That wouldn't that make your stomach hurt?" But I used to drink coffee literally like right before jiu-jitsu, and it would help me a lot.
Yeah, I drink
like
about 20 minutes before. Yeah, black coffee. That's all I drink. I don't drink any other coffee.
Perfect. There you go. She proved me right.
You heard it here first, guys.
All right, later, guys.
All right, guys. Peace out. Have a good night.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye-bye.